Hello everyone and welcome back. It's been a while since we've been here in this city, but the season is coming to an end, so I figured I'd show you guys all around at what I did this season. I wasn't recording too much, and I think that allowed me to kind of focus on my builds a lot more. But I've made some big progress since the last time, as you'll see once I start showing you around. So I'm here with shaders on so you can get the full experience. And a lot of this was shown in the last episode. But I'm just going to walk through my build and or my base and kind of show everything off. So starting down here at the base, we have this like seawall that I built up. And the goal of this entire base is to be like an Italian coastal seaside town with some DNA of Amalfi and Meteora, basically cities with big cliffs and quaint houses. But to start off, I wanted to build up this seawall here just to work with the elevation a bit more, add some texture, some interest, and then a way to get up from the base, because on this server, everyone is based around this central crater area. So this is kind of like my way of accessing my base, the shore down here. And what you'll notice as we kind of go through all these builds that I did a lot of work with the texturing, trying to work with shading and making things feel like lived in. So it would have been easy to like make this entire wall just out of stone bricks, but I spent a lot of time, trying to roughen it up, add these dark patches, these mossy sections near the base of the water. And if I go in free cam and kind of fly back here, you can see what I mean when I say I spent a lot of time on the shading and whatnot. So like this area under this rock formation that comes out is much darker, and especially down by the water where it's like battered by the waves a lot more. Yeah, so that's basically the entrance to my base. And as you come up these stairs, you're greeted by one of the center points, which is this cathedral here. St. Peter's, I believe, is what I called it. It has this tree out front, which I'm going to be honest, I don't really like the positioning of, since it does block the view of the dome as you're coming up the stairs, which that was a bit of an oversight, but you can still see it from back here. It's this orange tree that uses like these pointed dripstone as the trunk. And when I originally built this church, my idea was to use it as a spot for my storage system. But after building it, I realized it was way too small for that, to store all the chests I needed to store. So I left the interior kind of empty. And instead I have a like special mechanism for accessing a basement here. If you light this candle, it'll open. Oh, someone blocked it off, I guess. It'll open this trapdoor, and you'll fall through into the basement. I'm guessing someone blocked it off because the amount of wind charge is down here, so it's hard to leave. But down here's where I store all of my items, and I spent a long time on the roof trying to give it kind of like a mix between like Italian and Moorish architecture feel with all these arches and whatnot. I think it turned out really nice. And then when you go to leave, you come through here and, well, this is broken. So normally you'd press this button and drop you down and it'll launch you up using wind charges. But we're out of wind charges, so instead what you have to do is you just have to use rockets to get out. Which is fine. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to fix this. And you pop out through this manhole cover up here. This is some stuff I did kind of like last minute, just to like build the world around this place a bit more. So I have this tunnel here, which goes off to like a fake wall at the end. And it's supposed to be like, this is how cars would come into the city. And all the cars have to park in this parking garage here, which also ends in a fake wall. And the city is kind of separated by these bollards, which make it walking only. And the reason I did that was just like, make it make sense. From a logical perspective, like where the cars would go once they come through this tunnel. Even though it's, not perfect, I just wanted to have something there. This building here was the first building I ever built, and I'm going to use it right now to go to sleep. But it's actually like two buildings kind of put together. And I'll go in the free cam mode here to show you from a distance. So you have like this pink building with like these blue windows and like a jut off with mostly stripped birch logs, and a tree on top. In the past, this tree was a cherry blossom tree, but I recently changed it because the pink kind of like blended in too much with the pink of the building. So I think it looks better now. You can access the roof up here, which is like a little terrace garden area, just by going up the ladder. We got some bees up here, composters, etc. And you can see a view of the whole crater, which in the morning with the shaders looks really cool. But this building also housed my villager trading hall, which is in a basement down here. So I usually just have all my villagers in like a stone pit, which I've been told is not compliant with the Geneva Conventions. So this time I decided to lock them in nicer looking cages. And I spent a lot of time decorating this area up just to make it so that I wasn't going into like some like, you know, disgusting back like stone room every time I wanted to trade with villagers, which is something I do a lot. It still felt like I was like in the world, which I think has been nice. I got one of every terracotta color. Some of these guys were never used, but others of them were actually used quite a lot, so I'm glad I got it all set up. And then lots of glass trades. This bottom floor here is just supposed to be like a little candle shop, you know, just something to fill the space. I'm going through all this kind of quickly because there's a lot. Over here is my gelato shop, another building I showed off in the previous video, and there is an adjoining building, which I'll get to in a second, but only the bottom floor is accessible, and it's made to look like a little gelateria. You got this like table in the back, the ice cream banner, and like this little window that they serve the ice cream from behind. And there's two entrances into this place. One comes out over into this little plaza here, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, you can come in either way. And I also like these little lights up here. It does feel very ice cream shoppy the way I did these. And then the adjoined building is just like a storage space for some flowers. It's supposed to be like it's owned by the person who runs this little flower cart on the side of the building here. And you know, just putting some like potted plants in the windows really adds a lot. This area here is definitely my favorite spot in the base. You have like this fountain I designed with like this armor stand inside of it. And one thing you'll notice is that the way I textured all of this is I textured it as though the light was coming from that direction and heading up this direction. So you can see like the shadows in the corners are all built up to comply with that. And then the shadows on the underside of this like overhang is built up that way. And I used mostly just like tough bricks, tough cobblestone, and then like cracked stone bricks to kind of build that gradient up. And you can see it around in other places just to add texture to the ground as well. This is my club building. So I made like this like faux arch here. Like this would be like a fake arch of vines they put over the entrance intentionally to like add an air about it. It's not like the building's actually overgrowing necessarily. And from time to time I have to come through here and like trim some of the vines off, which I kind of like. Like I said in the last video, it adds like a little bit of maintenance to it, which I think is something that's kind of cool to have in a Minecraft world. But yeah, the bottom floor is kind of like this white color, and the top floor is like uses the pink terracotta, magenta terracotta, granite, and bricks to kind of like build up a nice gradient with like vines growing over the windows. And inside is the clubhouse. You may remember this from the open mic night. We held an event in here. You got like a little bar here, a nice stage to perform on. The walls are eclectic, but I actually quite like them, even though it looks really weird from the inside, like this being green and like a mixture of colors here. It's a constraint posed by the fact that the walls are one thick, and I want to make the outside look nice above making the inside look nice. But it's something that had to be done. So yeah, in the end, I think it actually looked really nice, you know, with the brewing stand, with the bottles in it. These are supposed to be like wine and beer bottles. All this should be familiar to those of you who saw the previous video. But we're about to start getting into stuff that I did not show in the previous video. Oh yeah, and then this is where you can enter the gelateria from the other side. So in the last video, I hadn't built this building over here yet, but now I've built it. We'll go into free cam a bit here. You can see it's like orange at the top and kind of a gradient down to like this mud brick, packed mud stuff. This block of raw iron I just put there on a whim, and it's kind of grown on me over a while. At first I didn't like it. I'm like, it stands out too much, but I like it now. We have this little back alley with trash cans. I put stuff like this around the town just because it adds to the vibe. And I tried to do interiors for all of my buildings. Some of them I didn't get to, unfortunately, but this one does have an interior, and it's like a little bookshop. There's like a little loft up here as well with books that you can supposedly buy. Nothing too fancy. In fact, it's really unfancy, but it allows a little way to access the upper floor other than just the staircase here. That's one thing I wanted to try a lot, is to make lots of little paths around, lots of different ways of getting up. So for instance, there's this path on this side. There's the inside of this building. There's this path here. You can't go through this building or this building, but you can go up. Oh wait, no, you have to go all the way to the end. You can go up these stairs. So there's lots of different ways up and around my town. You can see we're working along the side of these cliffs, these custom cliffs I made. We'll get more into those in a second, but I really like the sense of scale when you're in the town, how massive these things feel towering above you. And that was a big, big part of what I wanted to try to bring to this world, because one of my big inspirations, Meteora or Kalabaka in Greece, has these massive rock formations behind the town. And I got the chance to visit there, not last summer, but the summer before. And that's been a massive inspiration for this town. So the interior of this base was designed by, oh, let me close those. Sorry. The interior of the space was designed by one of the people who came on the server recently. We recently had applications and introduced some more people to the server. And one of them, Z, made the interior of this place. I built the exterior. I wanted to do a green building in here somewhere. And there's not a ton of great green blocks in this game, but I worked with what I had, which was basically a block of bamboo, lime, terracotta, moss, green terracotta. And then to add a bit more color and a bit more shading, I even went to blue. I started hue shifting a bit in these corners, which I think looks really cool, honestly. But yeah, pretty simple exterior, just, you know, a box with some holes in it for the windows. The interior was done by Z. So this bottom floor is kind of like a storage greenhouse space, similar to that other building I have. But you can kind of go up this ladder. I really like the way this is like a ladder shaft. You can go up this ladder, and you have like, you know, a basic little bedroom in here. It's nice. It's something to fill the room up, which is what I wanted. That's why I asked her if she would be willing to build inside of here and make it her little home. So I'm glad she did. One thing I want to point out is that the upper floor of the club is the world's smallest sugarcane farm. I don't think it's possible to build a more tightly compacted sugarcane farm than this one. You can't even see the redstone. Like, that's how tightly compacted it is. There's only 4 pieces of sugarcane that grow, and they get collected by these hopper mine carts and put into these hoppers. And it's built up quite a bit, despite being so small, more than I needed. So it was more than sufficient for me. But it does cause some dripping down here in the club, which is fine. I kind of like that. It adds to the atmosphere. This area was my biggest fail of the season. I wanted to build like a little miniature garden plot, but between the biome making my bushes look weirdly colored, and the sunflowers not really having the right color compared to everything else, and, you know, a myriad of factors. Originally, these sunflowers were going to be ferns. A myriad of factors led to this looking kind of bad. The goal was to use these armor stands as like trellis that like vines were growing up. And the ferns looked really good with them in a normal biome, but we're in a mountain biome, and so they looked like this color, and it looked disgusting. So I changed it out for sunflowers, which also look bad, but they look better than the weird ferns. And like I said, a bit of a fail, but it's just like a little garden you can walk through. A little gate here, gate on the other side as well with this door, and the entrance to that building I just showed. This over here, I'm going to delete this, not because I don't like the gesture, but because I'm a perfectionist and I want my build to be in its final state before the server closes. This is the Jack Shack. So Jack was another person who came on the server, and just like Z, he made the interior of this place. No head, El Bozo. You may know Jack as Out of Context Elliot from some of my videos. He's a familiar face for many of you from both the Outcast SMP and the No Jumping Challenges. And now he's here on Endercraft. But yeah, he built like this little attic room. I really like how this room turned out. You know, he had this bed here, these barrels. All of these doors are meant to be windows from the outside. It looks a little bit weird on interior sometimes, but I think it works cool here. I like the little rafters he did. Yeah. And you can also exit this building from the backside and come up this alleyway here. Like I said, just trying to add verticality to it. So I guess I lied earlier when I said you couldn't go through this building to get up. And yeah, here's his head in the Jack Shack. This building here was one of the more recent ones I did. I did the exterior a while back, and then I did the interior with help from ZK today. The exterior is meant to look like a little hotel building with those like blue doors that you see in places, or blue windows, I mean to say. And so the bottom floor is meant to look like a hotel lobby. And if you come inside, you can see this little reception desk. This was all built by ZK. I was really busy with finishing other parts of my base, so I asked him to do it, and he did a great job. So you have like this little reception desk. This is supposed to be like an elevator, you know, look like an elevator door. It does its job here. And then I did this part. I did like this little couch, this rug, and this like table, you know, just some stuff to fill it up. There's these nice big windows on the front, so we want it to look good from the outside. And I think it adds a lot to this like street view here. It's nice to be able to see inside there. And then the most recent building I did. Oh yeah, sorry, before we move on. I like this little fire escape I did on the side. I think it looks really cool. It's like painted blue. I wasn't sure how it'd turn out, but it's grown on me a lot. I really like that it's like blue like that. And you have the, of course, like I said, putting these like little trash bins around. Anyway, this building was the building I did basically today. I did some of it earlier, but it's my most recent build. And it uses a similar color scheme to this, the top section of this building. In fact, the exact same color scheme with a few extra blocks. You know, I added some dirt in there at the top, which I think is kind of cool. This wall was looking really bland, so I just covered it with like paintings and posters and whatnot. I got it looking perfect. And then someone jumped down to kill a skeleton with a mace with wind charging on here and broke every single painting off, and I had to replace them. And now it only looks about half as good. But that's fine. But yeah, you have all these paintings and posters and whatnot. It's supposed to be like graffiti or flyers or miscellaneous ads in this little alleyway, and I think it looks really cool. And if you come over to the front, this is the only building without an accessible interior. I mean, technically you could say the top floor of this building doesn't, but it's my egg farm. But yeah, this is the only building without any portion of it being accessible to the public, which I'm sad about, but it had to be done. I didn't have time. I did not have time to finish it. So yeah, you know, again, just the cherry doors being windows and whatnot. A little bland on this side, but you know, it just needed to exist. And then yeah, here's the parking garage I talked about earlier with like its yellow bollard and ticket booth, and these are the bollards that prevent you from taking a car downtown through the streets. And then we'll come up here, and this is where my base kind of ends. Technically, I did a lot of stuff back here, but from this point on, it's kind of no longer my base. This goes out to the spawn of the season, which is up here. I'll go and walk to it now. And while we're walking there, I'll tell you a little bit about the terraforming I did this season and the terraforming that I didn't do. So this is where we started the season. You may remember some footage, and this place looked very, very different back then. And that's because the ground level was around here all the way across. Basically level with where I just flew. And I carved all of it out, this entire section, and then rebuilt a lot of it, or just carved the walls away. So this is where I get into the terraforming. Before I do that, I'm just gonna go to sleep so we can see it in the light. But like I said before, this entire season, I wanted to do things with directional light. So all of these rock formations are shaded on one side, this side, because the light is coming from that way, going this way, which ironically in the game right now, because the sun is rising, that's not what it's doing. But yeah, the sun is shining this way, so this backside is all like covered in tuff, and you can see that in these pillars. Best of all, this backside is all tuff, and then on this side it's all highlighted because this is the direction the light's going. And while that makes things look a little bit weird up close, i.e. this entire wall just being like tough, and then like there being a weird division here where it's no longer tough, when you look at it from a distance, you start to really realize why it's done that way. And the lighting in the game right now is not the best for illustrating this. Once the sun rises enough, it'll make more sense. But like, it really does look like the light is coming from that direction whenever, in fact, if I turn shaders off, it looks a lot worse because there's no shaders, but you can see what I mean by that. Like, it really does sell the vibe that the tough is where the shadow's at. Okay, now I'm gonna put shaders back on. That's much better. So all of these are custom built. Every single block here is placed by hand for the most part. Some of it was like carved away out of stone, but for the most part, it was all placed by hand. Every single tough block, acacia log, dripstone, coarse dirt, moss, mossy cobble. All of this is placed by hand. These pillars are entirely built by hand from the ground up, so they're hollow on the inside. I wanted one more back here to really finish the sight line, but I didn't have time. This entire wall was carved out and built up. And as you might have noticed, I have this glass waterfall over here. This is supposed to be a waterfall. It looks really good from a distance, looks less good from up close, but I still like it. I still am quite fond of it. And I had a little bridge crossing it here, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, this took a lot of work. Now, it's hard to express how much work this took. One way to express it might be for me to go into statistics and see, let's see, how many stone did I mine? 126,000 stone. How many did I drop? 65,000 stone. Picked up 167,000 stone. And I placed I placed 17,000 stone. I placed 9,200 dirt, 4,000 tough, a lot of stone bricks, a lot of moss. It doesn't sound like that much, but it adds up. But yeah, I really like how it turned out, because if you go like far back here, you start to see the vibe here. Again, feels like one is missing back here because technically it is. The rock formation I'm the happiest with of all of them is one I did in a couple minutes, and it's this one right there. I really like how this thing looks. It just kind of comes out from the terrain. It looks really cool. If I had time, I'd like to do a few more small rocks around as well as the big pillar, but I don't. And then you can see where it's rougher on the edges. For instance, didn't terraform this at all. Didn't carve back this and make it blend in with the terrain better at all. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. And then definitely same thing over here. But there's only so much I have time to do, especially with the season ending, as it's about to right now. But yeah, this is my base. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. A few last things to talk about. One, the pathway. So one of the rules on the season, or not rule, but one of the things we wanted to do was make a pathway that connects every base together in one long loop around the crater. So this is the pathway that goes over to Zark's base. You can see the waterfall doesn't look so good from up close, but that's fine. It's not meant to look great from up close. I did this thing with leads. So you have these leads and you have a boat, which apparently some mobs are stuck in. That's great. But the boat is hidden in the wall. You can only really do it in very specific situations, such as this, where you have something to hide the boat in. But man, if it doesn't look really cool. I really like the rope connecting this little bridge up. Just those small details like that. This was me phoning it in. I didn't really have any energy to build this path up, so I just threw some blocks down in a spiral staircase in here, just to have something that connected the bases together. And now we're in Zark's base, so this is no longer mine. Yeah, nothing special. And then there's one last thing I want to show. And that is over here. So around behind the church, I recently built up this little plaza. There's a little wall here to kind of like separate up the cliffs, almost as if like it's trying to prevent like any rocks that come down the cliff face from landing on people by building up this like little wall here, almost like a landslide prevention, or you know, falling rock safety like barrier, so to speak. But this area is still looking a little bland, so I made this little central section with a lodestone on it. So if you want, you can hook up a compass to the lodestone. But what's really interesting about this is these little books. So I'm not a big lore person. I don't like adding lore to bases. But I will add lore to bases if it fits with the base itself. And what do I mean by that? I mean, If there is a reason for the lore to exist in the world, then I will make it. And in this case, these are supposed to be like little sign stands. So sometimes when you're in like historical locations, you'll see like a sign, like a big sign with like a pictures on it talking about the history of the place. That's what these are. So each of these is a little bit of the history of the city of Skolpania. That's the name of my base. And you can read about it. I'm not going to go through all these because it would bore you to death. But if you're interested, we're going to release the world download, and you can look then. And you can come over here and read through all of these. And each of them is only a page long, and you can learn a little bit about the history of the town. Nothing special. It's kind of cool. And this is where my path connects on the other side. And it goes up to Ty's base. I'm not going to go all the way over there, but yeah, it just kind of winds through the caves. You have like this little covered area here. Again, just kind of phoning it in to make something connect up, because I didn't have the energy to do it. But like from back here, that waterfall really hits, doesn't it? I really like how that looks from over here. Now would be a good time, now that it's much lighter out and the sun's on the right-ish side, that I can show you how the shading really looks when the light is at least somewhat proper. Again, this shadow should be pointing this way, but you know, sometimes you gotta accept it how it is. I should have thought about making it actually one of the directions of the sun in the game, but I wasn't thinking about it that hard. So, but you still kind of get that vibe of like where the shadow being on this tough side here. And man, I think this looks really cool. This is the view I wanted at the end. Wanted a pillar right there, small little pillar. Didn't have to be huge, just a little thing there. Didn't get it, but this is what it looks like. This is my final build. And the reason I wanted one there is if you come over here and you get this view, yeah, something's missing, you know. Something is missing right there. That's fine. What else did I do this season? This island here. I don't want to put my name on this island right now because it looks ugly as hell, and it's going to forever look ugly as hell. But I did all the cliffs. So if you come around the edge, you can see these cliffs that are covered in like tuff and brain coral, and they kind of move up to birch and sandstone. Yeah, so I did most of these. As you start getting over here, you can tell that they're made by someone else, i.e. Lyra, because I was not able to work on the server for a bit. So Lyra did it from like this point on. But I think I did this part, maybe. I definitely did all of this side here. This is all me. And this is where things get ugly. Yeah, ugh. That vomit sound was not me. That was not an attack at anything that was done by any server members. It's an attack at the fact that we didn't ever finish it. So you see all this podzol here? This podzol was not going to just like look like this. There was going to be like a gradient texture that blends it into the other terrain, and it was going to be only under these like pine trees to make it look like the shaded area under these like trees, these custom trees. Well, we got busy. I got busy with my builds, and we got bored, and the trees were never finished. So now you just have these random splotches of podzol, and then these skeletons of where trees were eventually going to go that aren't the actual final custom trees. And it looks worse for wear, doesn't it? It doesn't look great. You have these random patches of mud in here that just don't make sense, you know? Like, it's just a mess, let's be real here. It would have looked really cool if we got all these trees in. These trees were looking nice. I did build these trees as well. I think Zark built this one, but I built these three. It was going to look really cool. It's not to be. Some projects were never going to be finished. So, if you want, if you're one of those people who plays on world downloads, you can finish it if you want. No pressure. Although I doubt anyone who's watching this will ever get the world download. This train station is the brainchild of Lyra. It was originally built by Bork, and then it was demolished and rebuilt by Lyra, because Lyra was the rail network guru. Up here is like a little map of the crater. You know, before the server's over, I'm going to go back and update all these maps, I think. I think that'd be cool. But I'm not going to do that right now. But yeah, this is a map of the whole crater. I'm going to leave this one how it is, because I'm too lazy to... Wait. Oh, wait, no, that's going to be easy to update. Never mind. I just did. Did I? No, I didn't. It's locked. I think it's locked. Yeah. But yeah, I'll go back and update all these maps. But yeah, down here is the actual train station. And me and Lyra worked on this. most of the credit goes to Lyra. I helped with some of the designs and stuff, especially down on the platform when we get to there. But it was definitely Lyra who did a lot of the work on this train station, especially this upper section. So this is kind of a hub, and you can see these colored lines telling you which lines are which directions. Canonically, the green line and the orange line platform is under construction permanently because we didn't finish it, and they don't have train lines that go anywhere. So we put like under construction barriers up there, and that's canon now. Down here, though, we do have functional and finished, I believe. Wow, it's actually finished now. That's so nice. Almost. There's some arches that are missing. There's supposed to be like an arch here, an arch here, an arch here. It's not completely finished, but what can you do? That's how it is. Yeah, this is the actual train station. So these lines all go to different places. It'd be nice if there's actually a sign that tells you what goes where. But the yellow line goes out to a... Oh, yeah, the yellow line goes out to a village way out in the distance. The red line, if you follow it the same direction as the yellow line goes out to a village and a tree farm. But if you go this other direction on the red line, it takes you to a variety of stations and other people's bases outside the crater. I also really like these murals that were done. There's some cool murals in here. Zay did a really good job. Zay came in and was our guest artist and did this mural here with like his base. Like this is supposed to represent like his Cita de la Falesia with like the hidden stuff, the process hunt stuff in the walls. The process hunt was basically a scavenger hunt that Zay put on all throughout their base, and that is kind of like an homage to it. The nether portal one Zay did as well. I really like the purple glazed terracotta in here. It's so good. And yeah, so I did a lot of the work on the arches and like the general layout of the area down here. And I just ran out of food, but I think that's fine because I was about to end this off anyway, because that's the extent of what I did mostly on the server this season. A lot of it was concentrated around my base. So if we fly back, I'm going to land on this lantern up here. We can get a nice view of it for the final time at night before I sign off on Season 4 of Endercraft. I'm not sure yet if I'll be making videos on Season 5 or not. It may happen, it may not. I'll do it if other people on the server are making videos and it feels like there's a good culture of like content around the season. But if nothing like that's going on, I may not have the energy to make videos, or at the very least more than like occasional videos. But what I can tell you is this: there will be more videos on this channel anyway, because I'm going to start doing some Let's Play style videos of other games. Just because, you know, I like playing games. I like just enjoying games and making videos about them. And so I think I'll start posting some of that here. So there'll be some non-Minecraft content on this channel soon. But I don't really know what else to say, honestly. It's been a crazy season. I'm so glad that even though it was a rush at the very end, I managed to finish this off. Because if I had left this in a crappy state, in an incomplete state, just like a mess, it would have eaten me up inside. So I'm happy now that it's done. And you can see a zombie on his way to try and convert my villagers, walking up the stairs, about to start bashing on the door to his left. Oh, wait, no. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna stop bullying this guy. Unless he's about to break my door. Oh, he despawned. But yeah, that is going to be the end of season 4, excuse me, of Endercraft. And in a few weeks, season 5 will start. So maybe I'll have some more stuff for you then. Maybe I won't. But regardless, there will be more on this channel. There always is. And until next time, this has been Fractal. I hope you have a good day. Hope you enjoyed my base tour. And I'll see you around. Bye.